The first episode had to be big, so I bought somebody I am inspired by, and that's Samiksha Patel. She's an undergraduate, a second year undergraduate from my department, which is the Mechanical Engineering Department of IIT Bombay. Thank you so much, Samiksha, for agreeing to this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Where you were brought up, how you were brought up, kahan pe, kaisi life hai, what made Samiksha Patel land up in IIT Bombay?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
One major concern I think a lot of people have, especially students, when they have to start off working in startups or on their own ideas, is that they do not have money. So is money really an important thing? Is it very important to be deep pocketed if you want to start up or work on any idea?
No, not really, to be honest. But it depends on your idea sometimes.
Like, you have any need of money in the initial starting days, or do you like work things out?
No, for me it has been free, to be honest. And the website making thing, I did it myself. And hosting mein, I needed money. I needed some 2,000 rupees for 1 year. So I earned that money from scholarships previously. So वहाँ से थोड़ा funding लेके. But that was like 2,000 per the complete year. So I guess if you guys want to start, you have like zero in your account. You can maybe do some part-time jobs, like going and helping your grandparents and doing anything, and you'll eventually earn that much. Correct. So you need not be deep-pocketed. Although it depends on your idea. Now, if you want to get into the aviation industry, launch another airlines, you need that. But if your idea is on a very optimum scale, solving real-life issues, then I don't think you need as such loads of funds in the beginning. At least in the initial stages, no.
Right. So all in all, yeah, I mean, there is a possibility of starting up without being deep pocketed, and perhaps even if somebody wants to get into, let's say, the aviation sector eventually, there are stepping stones. You can work on small ideas, you can work on things that can actually help you build that capital. In fact, my dad says a lot in his videos, before doing this, if you do not have capital, it doesn't make sense if you want to work on bigger ideas. But there are hosts of ways in which you can build that capital. Of course, you can go check that out. I pitched it in that. So he'll talk about that, how to build that capital. But all in all, yes, I think, Samiksha, that's very true. There are ways in which people can start off without being deep. So next question is, did you actually have that moment of uncertainty in the beginning phase? Like, were there people around you saying कि ये मत करो यार, अभी JEE में ध्यान दे लो? Because you talked about how you started off COVID scene में, वहाँ पे I think JEE भी चल रहा था side by side initial days में. So were there apprehensions there?
Yeah, so when I was in the 12th standard, I conceived the idea. And what I did was, I secretly and quietly noted it down in my diary, closed it, put it in my cupboard, and thought that after JEE, I'll open this diary and look whatever ideas I had. So eventually, whatever ideas, I write also. So whatever story ideas or poem ideas or haiku ideas.
You're a writer too?
Yeah, I'm a writer too. So whatever I have this idea कि अभी लिखना है. So if it's a long story, just go and shortly write down the idea. So JEE के time the diary got full कि इतने सारे ideas थे. And after that, the day JEE got over, the very next day I opened the diary, I checked कि क्या क्या लिखा था, and then I came across कि yes, I thought of this thing called later. Then I started working. लेकिन ऐसा नहीं था कि JEE खत्म हो गया था तो people were like chill कि हाँ कर लो. People were like कि ठीक है अब IIT पहुंच गए तो अभी यहाँ भी अकेड्स पे ध्यान दो and stuff, because people have their concerns, right? And I'm not against it कि एकदम अकेड्स को भूल जाओ and do stuff, but it was like कि ऐसा भी नहीं कि later को पूरा छोड़ दो, because every night I sleep I'm like कि यार वो कुछ तो है, you have that feeling कि करना है यार वो तो. So I also had this feeling. And लोग बोलते रहे कि ये क्या कर रही हो, go to IIT, like अभी IIT पहुंच गई, पढ़ाई पर ध्यान दो, explore करो कॉलेज को, which you should if you want to. But it's about everybody, like आपका comfort zone क्या है, what you want to do in life. So I chose later over every other thing. So setting my priorities कि acads, फिर later every other startup that I want to work into. So you need to set your priorities.
Right, and I think that just speaks loads about your commitment to it and how much you're ready to give into your idea, and that I think makes a huge difference. And again, all the best for Innovator. I'll switch this conversation slightly to the generic trend around entrepreneurship in India, because now a lot of colleges, including let's say IIT Bombay, has this entrepreneurship minor that has come up. A lot of governments, the Delhi government, for example, is doing some, there are some initiatives in the entrepreneurship space. They're having competitions, they're having school curriculums based on that. And a lot of people around the country are doing such things for the students. What do you feel about that? How do you see the startup sphere shaping up? Do you think these initiatives are useful? I think you are part of the entrepreneurship minor here as well, so I think you can give your opinions about that.
Yes, so I think they are really useful because I am a student of ENT 603, the entrepreneurship minor course. It's the introduction to entrepreneurship, one of the first courses of the entrepreneurship minor set. It is really useful because the professors are like industry experts who have had like 20-30 years of experience of working in the industry, building startups themselves and then working in those startups and taking it to the next level. So the kind of exposure you get in those initiatives is really great. For example, I have my Professor Anuradha Narasimhan, and she's amazing. She has been an industry expert in this field in the past like 20-30 years. She has worked in top brands in the marketing and sales channel, and now she teaches us, and she teaches in a very innovative way. And that is, she has a guest speaker every session, every class we have. So you need to get to learn from people who have actually built startups. And we had startups like who were college students, college se chalu kiya, and now they are doing really great. So when you talk to those people, when you see them standing in front of you, delivering lectures, telling you where they went wrong, what we should do, how we should go about it, giving you motivation, it's really amazing. And maybe I have learned a lot from them. So I guess if anyone is getting any such initiative or opportunity, you should be a part of it, because whether or not you want to be an entrepreneur, that is secondary. But if you're learning something that's completely new, that is changing the world and will change the world, and if you're getting the opportunity to be a part of it, then you should be a part of it.
That makes sense. Actually, I relate to that. I have been part of a course from the ENT. By the way, guys, like IIT Bombay has this little school inside it called the Desai Sethi School of Entrepreneurship, DSSE, and they keep all these ENT.
Well, they'll sue you for telling it little.
They'll sue me? No, I hope not. In fact, they'll end up sponsoring this perhaps. If you're watching this, guys, sponsor. Anyway, so I have this course called ENT 606, which is like the next course you will perhaps have after this. So it's called Developing the Proof of Concept. So we end up having a lot of fun in that class. In fact, we have like this 2-hour class every week, but we end up doing stuff that we've never imagined. अच्छा कॉलेज में IIT बॉम्बे में आके ये भी करेंगे कभी, बहुत मजा आता है. मतलब I completely agree to the fact कि you should actually try your hand at it once at least and find out if it works for you or not, because you have people around you, you have initiatives around you, you have opportunities around you. It's about your will to be able to grab it, your enthusiasm to be a part of that. That makes a difference. Next question actually मेरा ना थोड़ा specific है to this new fad that is turning up in the country, which is dropping out. So I'm sure you must have heard of a lot of people dropping out, and sometimes it's too early. कभी-कभी लोग बहुत जल्दी without even knowing कि करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए, there's this fashion of dropping out बहुत जल्दी. So what do you have to say about that? What is the correct time to, let's say, drop out of college? Have you considered dropping out of school or college at some stage?
See, to be very honest, if you ask me, I do not want to drop out.
Okay, why?
To be honest, like people who drop out, we should analyze them instead of creating this hype ki they have dropped out and created this. Analyze them. Analyze did they have any backup options, because they do have backup options. There are people I've seen who are really very good at coding. They have a lot of exposure. They have done a lot. They are taking freelancing projects. If they drop out, it's okay, because उनके पास freelancing projects वैसे भी हैं. If you are someone who is into marketing, you are very good at digital marketing, or taking a freelancing project, you are like already sufficient to sustain yourself in the future also. Consider dropping out. But if you are like someone who is still studying, you're still learning something, just for the sake कि अभी startup कर ले भी drop out करना है, just because that hype is being created doesn't mean you'll drop out. Also, take the advice of people around you. I do not mean to say कि जो बोल दिया वही कर लो, but at least talk to people who know this thing, people who have dropped out, and people who consider dropping out, or people who considered but did not, or your seniors, your teachers, your parents. Just go and talk to everyone around you and then come to a conclusion, because dropping out is just abrupt कि ठीक है अभी इतना अच्छा college join किया था अभी I dropped out, and after that you do not want that at the age of 50 sitting by the window and sipping coffee. You don't want to regret कि काश उस दिन थोड़ा सा और हिम्मत कर लिया होता, drop out नहीं किया होता. So be careful because these are like life-changing decisions.
Correct. I think that's a very mature answer, Samiksha. That makes complete sense. You need to consider your backup options, and if it works out for you, taking into the opinions of your near and dear ones, I think that's a correct way to approach it. That makes sense. Thank you, Samiksha, for that. My next question is actually for people listening to you. Are there any books or resources you read up? Let's say some autobiographies you read up. या ऐसा कुछ भी है कि ये usually ऐसा एक वो होता है opinion कि an average startup founder, an average CEO, let's say इतने सारी books पढ़ता है per week. So are you that kind of a person? Do you read a lot? Do you have some resources you can share with the audience?
Yeah, so I was a book reader until 9th standard, and then 10th, 11th, 12th went for JEE. So after that I read only math, physics, chemistry. So literature has departed like from my soul. It
Books तो पढ़ते थे but उसके terms change हो गए.
No, exactly. Point makes sense.
Okay.
So abhi I haven't read many books to be honest. But if you're talking about
you have like this FOMO because I all the time have FOMO. मेरे dad भी बोलते हैं कि बहुत अच्छी book है ये पढ़ लो.
My dad was recommending me some books the other day, and I was like, Dad, I want to read, and he was like, yes, you should. But then I ordered the books and they are as it is. I don't have time to touch them.
I completely relate to that. But I think that's what I think college life में थोड़ा सा हो जाता है.
Right.
But in general I think वो है मतलब still there is that कीड़ा कि हाँ अगर थोड़ा टाइम निकाल सकते हैं तो you would not mind reading and you would actually love it.
Basically I read only a few books I would like to suggest. One of them is The Psychology of Money. I liked it.
Right.
So that is one. Another is The Secret. It is not related to entrepreneurship. Yeah, Rhonda Byrne.
Yeah.
And it isn't related to entrepreneurship in any way. But the
is a very
it will like spark this thing in you कि कुछ करना है, because if you
my
get
mom
demotivated.
recommended to me again. मैं पढ़ नहीं पाया again वो, but I have heard so much about it. I still want to read it. But you can talk about it. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a great book. I mean, you know, it's basically if you want something, then how do you make it happen? And these are like short documentaries made into a book. Like usually it's a book made into documentaries, but this was like a reverse process that took place.
Okay.
And the book is lit. You guys can go read it, and it's beautiful.
Awesome. I think that's something I'll read too अभी इसके बाद, and the audience will be glad to read it, and I'm sure you won't regret it, guys. मेरे भी parents बोलते हैं बहुत अच्छी book है वो. ठीक है Samiksha, so I'll talk a little bit towards the end. I want to talk about your college life here because it is quite an active college life. You're engaging with a lot of things, a host of things actually. भले ही एक्टिंग हो, भले ही एनर्जी क्लब में कन्वीनरशिप हो. Talk us through that मतलब थोड़ा सा. How did you actually take those decisions? Do you actually try to align your interests and activities you engage in towards entrepreneurship या नहीं? Do you want it to be something different from entrepreneurship कि ये मेरे को अब देखना है, ये मेरे को देखना है? Because I've heard a lot, but let's hear you talking about it.
Okay, so basically I set my priorities accordingly. कि अगर एक कुछ ऐसा काम लिया है which is actually work, then another thing should be recreational.
Right.
And this is one of my friends said कि you should do something recreational, something that you love.
Right.
So lately I've realized that I should do things that I left behind in school. So I would like to flex a bit. And so I did a professional 13-year degree course in fine arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. At what age?
I completed it at the age of 8. We call it graduation in fine arts.
At the age of 8?
नहीं, sorry, class 8.
Entrepreneurship by 8 साल की उम्र में.
Standard 8. Okay.
Got it.
So 8th standard तक I completed it, and
That's still commendable. I mean, 8th standard में ऐसे पूरा
Yeah.
एक finance course complete करना, that's still commendable. I mean.
so I got trained professionally in some 15-20 different art forms.
Okay.
So that is something I love because even before going to school I started painting, so that is like really close to my heart. So I have started painting again, and then comes writing. I think it's genetical because my mom writes.
Right.
I also write. I don't know how, but I write since childhood. So that is something I've written for national magazines. I've written for Ruskin Bond's magazine Cloud9.
Okay, wow.
And I've worked as a student editor in my school magazine too.
So is there a specific genre you stick to? Yeah, is it like all genres?
नहीं, all genre. जो दिमाग में whatever I see I write it.
Okay.
So I have been writing a lot, and I've started writing again. I'm more into haiku poetry these days. Instead of stories and stuff. So that is one thing. I am a nationals in dramatics. I won a nationals contest when I was in the 9th standard.
Wow.
And I won the best female actor in the lead role for that year. So acting is something that is also close to me. That just happened, my teachers pushed me ki you can do this, so I tried it out and it worked. So yeah, so all these things which were like really dear to me were left somewhere in school. And in school I used to think ki abhi to theek hai, thoda kam time hai, because I'm really heavy in acats ki IIT jana hai. But once I get into IIT, I'll do this again. But when I came to IIT, तो first में I couldn't figure things out कि acats कैसे manage करना है, उसके साथ innovator को कैसे manage करना है. Plus there are a lot of entrepreneurship contests and challenges happening, तो उसमें भी participate करना है. तो first year was basically spent in building a base. So acats में थोड़ा सा base build किया कि क्या कौन सी चीज़ें suit करती है मुझे. I worked at innovator, थोड़े से startups में काम किए, learned about people, और ये सारी चीज़ों में चला गया. So from the beginning of the second year, I have started indulging myself in other college activities as well. So I go I'm the energy club convener, as you said, and we go around for its events. We conduct events. Then I host a lot of events. I hosted for Style Up, and then I am into fashion, so I did a bit of ramp walk also, which I used to do in school again. So that, and then acting, I am into Fourth Wall now. So Sophie Broad thing happening, so I auditioned for it and got selected. So all these things happening. And something that people ask me is, how do you manage your time? That's because I have everything mentioned in my diary, hour to hour, ki is time is for this thing, is time is for this thing.
Okay.
So when I'm doing one thing, I don't think about the other.
Right.
Plus I see people doing their things, but that's not my way. Like आप रास्ते पे चल के जा रहे, so that's meant for me to check my mails.
Okay.
If I'm sitting and eating, I prefer to sit alone in the mess.
Okay.
That's not because I don't have friends, because people think that you don't have friends, but that's not the case. I prefer to sit alone, because when I sit alone, that's the only time when I'm not in the class कि मेरा दिमाग चल रहा होना चाहिए, पढ़ नहीं रही कि दिमाग चल रहा होना चाहिए. That's something that I have for myself. So I start thinking of new things, कि new haiku ideas, या कुछ innovator में कुछ pivoting करनी, कुछ restructuring करनी है, या किसी का कुछ है, I need to do something in this, या क्या करना है. I try to figure those things out in that period.
Okay.
So you need to figure things out कि किसको कहाँ पर fit करना है. कि if you are multitask basically, if you are eating and you can type something out during that period, so I do that कि खाते खाते ये type out हो गया. Sometimes I have this online meeting है, तो खाते खाते या walk करते करते या deals करने हैं कुछ, या कुछ meeting है, तो वो निपटा देना चाहिए वहीं पर, so that you don't have to devote special slots to things that can be done with other things.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that is how I basically manage things.
Wow, okay, that is very inspirational, Samiksha, I'll tell you, because मेरे को लगता था मेरे से ऐसे पूछते हैं लोग कि कैसे टाइम मैनेज करते हो, but I think your way of managing time is a step ahead and something which I'll also like to implement in my day also, ताकि और चीज़ें I think और better तरीके से manage हो पाएंगी. Hats off to you, यार, मतलब very very inspirational. My last question, of course, before wrapping this up is, what are your plans for the future? Like, is it कि जिस तरीके से future shape होता है, या do you have like an ultimate goal in mind, या at least some stepping goals in mind?
Yeah, so I'm not like hard and fast कि life पे यही करना है. I'm just letting myself flow as of now. But yeah, I do have plans. I want to go perhaps to the United States or Germany and pursue masters probably. But at the end, it all boils down to entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So wherever I go, whatever I do, I'll be an entrepreneur at the end. So that is the ultimate goal. No matter which path you take, that is the ultimate thing that I want to do in life.
Wow, that is interesting to know. And masters in what have you decided? या कुछ है दिमाग में?
Yeah, mechanical only. I want to do something in automobile designing and stuff.
Okay, interesting. That's quite a journey actually, and I hope मतलब we can get you again sometime in the future on the podcast, and if we get your time after that. But we'd like to actually know how this shaped up. But I am pretty sure I can bet on this कि बढ़िया ही जाएगा, because the kind of passion you have for stuff, I think that's very inspirational. I'm going out of the frame, sorry guys. But that's quite inspirational, and hopefully guys, this podcast in general gave you a lot of new ideas, gave you some hope, gave you some inspiration. I'm pretty sure it did, and we'll be back with more such things, guys. But let us know in the comments if you want to ask something to Samiksha. Is there a way people can reach out to you, Samiksha?
Yeah, you guys can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. Plus, if you guys want to mail me,
follow me on LinkedIn, guys.
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn. And if you want to mail me, I'll ask him to share my mail ID in the description.
In the description, I'll do that for sure.
So you guys can mail me.
All right, thank you so much, Samiksha, for sparing your time. It
Thank
was
you so much
wonderful
for having me.
this meeting.
So yeah, keep innovating, keep thinking of new things, and never let the passion in you die. Just keep on doing. Get rejected, get thrashed on the floor, but just keep going, you know. And
Awesome.
yes, बहुत मुश्किल से वीडियो शूट किया है, जैसे एकनूर ने कहा, बहुत मुश्किल से जगह मिली है, लोगों ने आकर बोल भी दिया कि निकल जाओ यहाँ से, फिर भी बेशर्मों की तरह हम बैठकर शूटिंग किए जा रहे हैं. तो प्लीज़ लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Samiksha. Thank you so much, guys. We'll be back with more such content. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep preparing me for life, and you know the end to it.
Dream, believe, achieve.
Dream, believe, achieve is our motto. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye. It's actually मचाते रहो.
Yeah, okay, मचाते रहो.
Bye bye.